What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word? Hummingbird. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this reunion of Married at First Sight, reunion part 1, season 16. We are almost at the finish line. We can definitely see the finish line in this long 28 week marathon. Okay, so the reunion starts off with all the couples on stage with Kevin Frazier, and they're all kind of going through the highs and lows of the season. So one of the conversations centered around how the viewers really wanted to see Jasmine and Gil hook up. Gil being the firefighter from the Houston season who is married to Merla. Now, at first I was like, Jasmine and Gil, oh hell no. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what, that might have worked, because Gil definitely wanted a more supportive wife. He definitely wanted a wife who was more down to earth and not very materialistic and not very money driven like the way Merla was. And Merla was also extremely self-centered, whereas Jasmine is very, very, very giving. So yeah, I can kind of see that working. Unfortunately, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda, we're never going to see that happen. So let's move on. Then they talk about Dom and Gil and how are things going with them, because we know how Dom was like on Gil's, you know, she was really trying to get with him. And she says that, you know, they're really good friends, which I highly doubt that they're really good friends. She lives in Tennessee. He lives in Texas. How can they be really good friends? I don't think that he was paying any attention to her. I still feel like Dominique is a little bit on the immature side, and you know, Gil was looking for a full-grown, mature woman. So she says that they're really good friends, but I question that. Then they talk about how Mac was really triggered by Dominique getting this puppy. And I don't remember if, because, you know, they ended their marriage so early on, I kind of forgot what their issues were. But I don't remember if Dominique had a problem with Mac and his dog. Did she have a problem with his dogs or something? Is that why he's so upset that she got a dog? Because she didn't want his dogs around or something? I don't remember, but he was really triggered. He said some really awful things about her being a pet owner, and I'm just not understanding where all of that anger and animosity was coming from, other than maybe it made her look hypocritical if she didn't want his dog around, but then she turns around and gets a dog of her own. So I was kind of confused there. Then they talk about Clint's weight comment to Gina in front of the whole group when they were all on their honeymoon, and he was so apologetic. He says he apologized then, he apologized again on the reunion stage. You know, what's her name? Nicole said what she had to say, talking about how she was going to make him eat his words. And we had to relive that whole fiasco again. But what I thought that was not fair was that they never talked about what started that, what triggered him to even say that to her, because Clint is not that kind of a person who would just out of nowhere tell a woman, hey, I prefer women who are a lot slimmer than you. No, it came from somewhere and they didn't want to explore that. I don't know why they coddled Gina so much on this show, but it started with Gina first telling Clint how she did not like redheads, and he felt some kind of way about that. So then he retaliated. He shouldn't have retaliated. He should have just let it go, but he did retaliate. But that's what made him say what he said. But we never got to discuss why Gina said what she said about him, and you know, him having red hair and how she doesn't date guys with red hair. So I don't understand why they don't hold Gina to the fire, but Clint is made to relive that moment over and over and over again. And we only talk about that one little tiny part. We never really talk about the full story of how that one little tiny part came about. So, you know, I felt, once again, you know, I felt bad for Clint, but he took it like a champ, like he always does. He took it like a champ. So moving on from there, then they talk about Aerys' cousin Felina. Now, when I look back to the things that Felina was saying about Jasmine, now that I think about it, I don't know, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it was because this was a very long season. Okay, we're talking about half a year ago that some of these things happened. So when I think about the things that Felina had said, I'm thinking, okay, it really wasn't that bad. I think at the moment it felt like it was really, really bad because I, for one, was rooting for Aerys and Jasmine at that time before I knew what a jerk Aerys was. I was rooting for Aerys and Jasmine. And so the things that Felina said was very counterproductive. And that's why, it bothered me so much. But now that I think about it, Felina was kind of like letting us know the what's up. She knew that her cousin Aerys was for the streets, that he was not ready to get married, that he is not the marrying kind. She knew that. That's why she was so confused as far as why he was even on the show. And that's why she didn't support it, because she knew from the get-go that Aerys was and always will be for the streets. So now that I think back about, okay, so she had a little opinions about Jasmine and the way she phrased her answers, saying that they were really, pageantry type answers. That was a little opinion, whatever. I don't really care anymore about what Felina said. My whole issue now is the fact that, Aerys did not support his wife. And regardless of what Felina said or what her intentions were or weren't, when his wife came home to him and said, hey, your cousin said something to me and it made me feel some kind of way, yeah, he should have automatically, his initial response should have been to support his wife Jasmine and to make her feel better and not defend Felina's comments. Whether her comments were right or wrong, if they made your wife feel some kind of way, his reaction should have been to support Jasmine, which he didn't do at all. He defended the comments that Felina made, and he made his wife feel even worse because he tried to make it look like she wasn't strong enough to handle it. And I'm thinking to myself, there was nothing that Jasmine did that made her appear not to be strong. She was strong enough to handle it. She handled it very, very maturely. Instead of decking Felina, she came home and she told her husband about it, and the husband should have checked his cousin and comforted his wife, but Aerys did none of that because he's not ready to be a husband. Well, he's not ready to be a husband to someone other than Felina, okay? He's not ready to be a husband to someone who's not a blood relative. So Mac then tried to put in his 2 cents by saying, well, Aerys was really conflicted between family and his wife. And Jasmine shut that all the way down. Okay, Mac, that's why you're divorced, because you don't know how to be a husband either. Whatever the conflict he felt, that's what he felt. But his actions should have shown that he was more supportive of his wife. Let's move on from there. But Aerys did apologize to Jasmine, but too little too late. So after that, they got Kevin then they got everybody off the stage, and he was going to talk to the couples individually. So let's start off with Nicole and Chris. Let's start off there. No, let's start off with Kirsten and Shaquille. Yeah, let's start off with Kirsten and Shaquille. So when they came back on stage to talk to Kevin, Shaq tells us that he is back in therapy. He's got some things to figure out, and that he's also working on finishing his doctorate. Of course, that goes without saying. He relocated to Austin, Texas for a new job. And so, yeah, there was a lot of talk in their segment about exactly why did Shaq say no to Kirsten on decision day, but everything happens for a reason. Whatever his reasons were, whether they were valid or not valid, I think it was the right decision for him to say no on decision day. I don't think Shaquille and Kirsten should have stayed together. I think that, we'll get to that later. So he's relocated to Texas. They still keep in contact. Kirsten said that she was really angry after decision day. Yeah, not because her heart was broken. She was angry because she was embarrassed, because she got dumped on national television by someone who she probably, for all intents and purposes, felt like was a little bit, she was a little bit out of his league. That's why she was upset. That's why she was angry. Not because, Shaq was the love of my life and he broke my heart. No, because she felt very, very much embarrassed by being dumped, because I'm pretty sure that she went into decision day feeling so sure that Shaq was going to say yes to her, because I think Kirsten is the type of woman who's used to men always saying yes to her and always wanting her. So she said that she needed time to regroup. She couldn't really talk to him right away after that. She had to kind of talk herself off the ledge. She did reach out to him when his grandmother passed away. That was important enough for her to do that. But then she had to go back and, get herself together. She emphasized how, Okay, Kirsten then explains how she was the supportive wife throughout. So she says that she made sure to emphasize that she was the one that reached out to Shaq to give her condolences when his grandmother died. Well, how else was it going to go, Kirsten? He's not going to reach out to you for you to give him your condolences. I'm pretty sure through word of mouth or whatever, maybe he shot her a text and said, hey, my grandmother passed away, or somebody told her. And then after that, yeah, you have to reach out to him to give your condolences and your sympathy. He's not going to come looking for you. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know why she was like, and I reached out to him. That was the only way it could have been done. She then explains how throughout the marriage, she was a very supportive wife, because one of his biggest complaints about her was that she was not supportive enough. And the number one example that he gives is that when he had to go on that work trip to Memphis, was it? I don't know. When he had to go on that work trip, how she didn't come with him. Like, it didn't click in her brain to be like, okay, my husband's going on a work trip. Of course I'm going to go with him. And so he considered that as like, the biggest example of Kirsten not being a supportive wife. But she wanted it to be known that she was supportive, that she was helping him with his schoolwork and helping him with this and helping him with that. She lists a laundry list of things that she was doing to keep him on track with life. And so, she's not going to go out with people thinking that she was not very supportive. Now, maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe that it is true. It could have been, because I can see her doing all that stuff. And yeah, maybe we can only go by what she says. So, Kirsten says that, but the thing about Kirsten that bothered me is that it's not really talked about enough how maybe the reason why Shaq was the way he was with her towards halfway through the marriage and to the end, where he was kind of like standoffish with her, was because for the beginning of their marriage, she was constantly pushing him away. Where the other couples were trying to kind of like explore each other, except for Jasmine and Aerys, where the other couples were kind of sort of like exploring each other. She was constantly pushing him away. Like, she didn't want to kiss, didn't want to hold hands, didn't want to do this, didn't want to anything that involved any type of physical intimacy. She would constantly push him away. And then she had her guards up. She didn't want to get too deep with him. All these things kind of played into the reason why maybe he kind of started distancing himself from her towards the end. Now, she cannot think that, well, when I wasn't ready, I expected him to stay away from me. And then when I was ready, I expected him to come closer to me. Because baby, when you're ready, he's already over it. So I don't know. So they were constantly on different pages to show some clips of them talking to the experts, like with one meeting, Kirsten thinks everything is wonderful. Shaq thinks that there's problems, and vice versa at another meeting. They were never really on the same page as far as the status and the progress of their relationship. Shaq wanted to fall in love with Kirsten, but didn't know where he stood with her at any given time. So he talked about how he never really knew exactly where he stood with her and how she really felt about him. And so he was also kind of guarded. Like, he couldn't just let his heart run amok and fall head over heels in love with her, because he never really was sure exactly how she felt about him. And Kirsten says that she wasn't sure what he was going to say on decision day, that she had no context clues to work with as far as what he would say on decision day. Okay. Shaq felt like he couldn't be the husband that Kirsten wanted him to be. The thing that I kind of, that makes me agree with that was when she says that she expected him to buy her a house and like a luxury car or something. And he kind of looked at her like, excuse me? Yeah, that would make me think, if I was Shaq, oh, okay, if that's the kind of woman that she is, and yeah, maybe I'm not the man for her, because I'm more of, let's do things together as a couple, and she's more of, I need my man to do everything for me and buy me everything that I want. So yeah, there's some validity in him saying, yeah, I kind of felt like maybe I really wasn't what she was looking for. Kirsten felt blindsided on decision day. She said that she had no idea that he was going to say no. I don't know why, because there were problems in their marriage. There were issues in their marriage. For example, that one time that they showed us footage from their security camera, their inside their in-home security camera, they show like a couple of scenes where Shaq would come home from work and completely bypass her, and she would have to be the one to greet him, and he would just kind of throw a hello over his shoulder, or a, hey, how you doing, over his shoulder, and he just kept on walking. He wouldn't hug her or kiss her or greet her when he walked into the door. So I'm thinking there were some issues in their marriage, but then she says that she was completely blindsided by him saying no on decision day. Well, there were clearly issues in their marriage. I don't know. Even if Shaq had said yes, I don't think it would have lasted. Even if they both would have said yes on decision day, I don't think it would have lasted. I think that Kirsten is very surface, where Shaq is a little bit deeper, and I think that that would have completely clashed. I think that maybe because Kirsten didn't want to talk about feelings and emotions and all that other stuff. You know, she wanted a man that was like her father. And I don't think her father is the kind of guy that wants to sit around and talk about feelings and emotions all day. I think her father was like, you know, a very stereotypical manly man kind of guy, and didn't want to deal with emotions or have long conversations about feelings. And Shaq did. And I think that kind of made Kirsten feel uncomfortable. I don't think that emotionally they were very well matched. You know, like I said, she was really surface, and he was the kind of person who wanted to dig deeper. Shaq said he needed more support for him to say yes. That's what he says. He said, for me to have said yes, I needed more support from her. And then he says that he didn't feel like he was good enough for Kirsten. Shaq cannot pinpoint exactly why he said no. And then he even kind of alludes to the possibility of them continuing their relationship now. I don't know what's going on with Shaq. I don't think that Shaq knows exactly what's going on. You know, first it was she wasn't supportive. Then it's I wasn't the husband for her. Then it's I didn't feel like I was good enough for her. Like I'm confused as far as why he said no. I'm glad he said no. I think he should have said no. I just don't know anymore, like, why he said no. And of course, there's a speculation that's going on online saying that, you know, the possibility that is probably because, you know, of his sexuality, that he might be gay, and that's what he's really struggling with, and that's what he's really going to therapy for. If I'm to believe that, which I'm saying, I'm not saying it's true or not true. I don't know what's going on in this man's mind, but let's explore that for a couple of seconds. Let's say that it is his sexuality. I think that for Shaq, he doesn't know that it's a sexuality. I think that he doesn't know why he said no to her, and that might be an indication that maybe he is, you know, fluid or gay or bisexual or something. But I don't think he realizes that. You know, I think he knows he's struggling with something. He's not exactly sure exactly what he's struggling. I don't know if that's even the issue. That might even be the issue. He might be, you know, straight as an arrow and just not feeling Kirsten and feeling inadequate. Like, you know, I'm not good enough for her, whatever reasons he gave. That might be what it is. I don't know, but it's confusing how he cannot pinpoint exactly why he said no on decision day. Or it could be all of the above. Maybe it's all of those reasons. But I think that it was the best decision. I don't think that a Kirsten Shaq marriage would have really lasted that long. Let's move on to Jasmine and Aerys. So the question was, Aerys, what exactly was the problem? Why didn't you find your wife attractive? What is going on, Aerys? She's a beautiful woman. Whatever you had wanted is what they gave you, because he wanted something between a Serena Williams and a, you know, Zendaya. Serena Williams being, you know, kind of built, thick, athletic. Zendaya being slim and slender. But he wanted something in between. And that's kind of like what she is. She's not as slim as Zendaya. She's not as, you know, athletically built as Serena. She's somewhere in the middle. But I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot in between Zendaya and Serena Williams. So there's a lot of body shapes in between that. But okay, to hear them tell it, all we have now is Jasmine. So, so why didn't it work? And he gave the most peculiar answer. He said some things should remain private. He said that he has a lot of respect for Jasmine and her family, and so he's not going to say, and that if he does say it, he's going to be held to the cross. I mean, you're making it a whole lot worse than what I believe it actually is. What is going on here? Like, what you're making it seem like there's something going on with Jasmine. Like, there's something really wrong with her that you don't want to say because you don't want to embarrass her because you've got too much respect for her and her family. That's what it's coming off as. So, all I can say is, Aerys, if you don't say what it is, trust and believe everybody else is going to say it for you. They're going to create their own narrative, and it's probably going to be a whole lot worse than what it actually is. Kevin Frazier said that he was given what he asked for, like I mentioned before. Aerys says that it wasn't about the body type. He wanted something more than that. Like, he did talk about that during the season, how he wanted a woman to be more outspoken, that Jasmine was she was too timid. She didn't really speak her mind when she should have. She kept a lot of stuff inside, and he wanted a woman just to be more outspoken. That's what turned him on. A woman who spoke her mind, who said what she wanted. She liked it, she said it. If she didn't like it, she'd say it. He didn't want a woman who was always kind of like, I don't know, whatever you want. They both agree that they're more like friends now, and Jasmine made it seem like, once they both realized that there was no chemistry between them, she was okay with that. But she wasn't, because the whole entire season she was down in the dumps. She was always on the verge of an emotional breakdown, because she was living with a man who wasn't attracted to her. So she was never cool with them just being friends, because she also said several times during the season that she came on the show to find a husband, not a friend. So why would she be like okay with that? But she says at the reunion, she was like, oh, once I realized there was nothing more than friendship, then I was cool with that. But she wasn't. Even her friend, okay, so then they talked, and I completely forgot about this. They talked about how Aerys had slept with one of Jasmine's friends 10 days, less than 2 weeks before he got on the show. And he gives this, excuse about why he did that. It made no sense. And, this is like perfect example. This guy was not ready to be married. He doesn't want to be a husband. He wasn't here to be a husband. I don't know what he was here trying to do. I don't know if it was, I don't know, but he was not ready to be a husband. And then to come to find out that the person that you slept with less than 2 weeks before getting on the show is a friend of your wife. Even Jasmine, your homegirl, I don't know how close you and this girl are, but your homegirl had a piece of Aerys and you didn't. And he was your whole husband. I don't know. Maybe Aerys had some feelings for the friend, and he didn't want to betray the friend, and that's why he kept his distance from Jasmine. Maybe there was a thing going on between him and the friend, and he told the friend, he was like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do this show real quick, and then when I come back, me and you were gonna continue on with what we were doing before. I don't know. Aerys, the open marriage comment that he made during the season when they were asking each other questions, and he talked about how he would want to have an open marriage at some point. I don't even know why this was brought up. Obviously he wasn't. I didn't take him seriously when he said it. I didn't take him seriously at all. I thought he was just, he was just talking crap. I didn't think he was being serious. I think he was just trying to say things for shock value for TV. I knew he didn't mean that. And but whether he meant it or he didn't mean it, who cares? Who the hell cares what Aerys wants? Whatever Aerys wants is out there for him in these streets. But who cares what he wants? If he wants an open marriage, an orgy, a threesome, a foursome, a quadruple, whatever he wants, who cares? Jasmine's friend Adrian comes out, and according to Kevin Frazier, she was really upset with Aerys, and she came on that stage with every intention to rip him a new one, but somehow or another she calmed herself down and it didn't go as bad as what Kevin Frazier thought it was going to go. So Jasmine's friend Adrian comes out. The friend was really concerned for Jasmine's mental health, and she was really concerned about Felina's comments, calling Jasmine fake, etc. Well, Aerys denied that Felina called Jasmine fake. Well, she did. I don't know if she actually said the word, I think she's fake, or she's fake, but she alluded to that because she kept on talking about how her answers to anything that she would ask Jasmine were very prepackaged answers, the kind of answers that a pageant contestant would give on stage. Answers that you have rehearsed over and over and over again. So she was alluding to Jasmine being fake. Aerys tried to minimize Felina's impact on the show. He was trying to make it seem like, well, she was only on the show for a couple of scenes. She wasn't even there that much. She really didn't say that much. Okay, but when she was there, she made a huge impact because she was the talk of the town when she made her appearance and opened up her mouth. Everybody talked about cousin Felina. Aerys was more, definitely more sexually advanced than Jasmine was, but the friend said that Jasmine would have gotten down with the get down if only Aerys had given her the green light. You know, Jasmine talked about how she was really concerned about her image because she works with young girls, etc. So she really couldn't be, you know, the freak of the week on camera. But the friend was like, "Hey, behind closed doors, it would have been on and popping if only Aerys had given the green light." So the friend says, well, you know, that she felt bad for Jasmine because the journey could have been so different for her. And then Aerys says, well, the journey was the journey and everything happened for a reason and it's all going to make sense later. Believe it or not, I actually agree with him. I actually do agree with him. Knowing what we know of Aerys, let's say that he would have said yes on decision day or things would have been different. I don't think this was really the man for Jasmine. So as much of a jerk as he was, I do agree with him when he said, hey, the journey was what the journey was. And it's all going to make sense later. You know, she's probably going to find the man of her dreams after this. And yeah, it was what it should have been. Things with the friend boy, how are things going with that? And she said that things were going great, that is her man now. Kevin Frazier was trying to be kind of shady because he was like, oh, I thought it was a red flag when he didn't want to be seen on television. And Jasmine was like, excuse me, that's not how it went down. I didn't want him to be seen on television. He would have been fine being seen on camera. I was the one that made that decision. So then she made Kevin Frazier eat his words. Let's move on to Gina and Clint. Clint was looking very Bradley Cooperish in that suit and his haircut. He looked really good, if you ask me. He's not okay. This whole talk about him being a redhead. I mean, the way Gina was like, I don't date redheads, and the way the other girl that he went out with after the season ended, oh, I don't date red. They make it seem like Clint has this blazing orange, red, fiery Ronald McDonald type of hair color. I mean, it's a very subtle red. To me, it's like even more brown than red. They're making it seem like he's walking around with this bright red hair on his head. I don't get it. Let's move on. So Kevin Frazier pointed out all the things that made them so compatible. And there was a ton of things that made them appear like they would have been the perfect match, but there's just no chemistry between them. They even admit that they even talked, because everybody made such a big deal about it. They even talked about it amongst each other. Like, hey, let's just go knock one out in the bedroom and see how it goes. But they just can never really take that step. The damage was already done at the honeymoon, and there was no way to recover from that. They both were like, okay, I'm too fat for you, and I'm too much of a ginger for you, so it's just not going to work out. Is there a chance for them? Well, Gina was like, oh, you never know, which is really funny that she would say that, because I mean, I don't know if Gina really knows how she feels about Clint, because earlier on in the episode, when they showed the clip of the guys getting together, and after decision day, when all the guys got together at the park, and Aerys and Clint were talking about how they've already slept with other women after decision day, and Clint made a joke about how, because he did I don't know if he did some move called the worm on her. I know it sounds disgusting, but he was just joking. And so when they showed that clip, Gina turns to the girls and she's like, you see, this is the reason why I didn't want to jump his bones. But then you complain about how he didn't pursue you, he didn't woo you, he didn't chase you around. And now you're telling Kevin Frazier, when he asks you, is there any hope for you and Clint? You're all like, I don't know. Do you want this man or you don't want this man? Like, what is it, Gina? So Gina admits that she should have been less guarded when he tried to get deep with her, when he tried to get more vulnerable with her. A lot of things happened with her business during the filming. She lost money due to a scam artist contractor. So her mind was very much and it looked during the season, she looked preoccupied. She looked like she wasn't fully there. So yeah, it showed during the season. It showed that she had other things on her mind. She wasn't really present. I just saw it as her not having any interest in him at all. But there was stuff going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about at the time. So she talked about there was all this stuff going on. And so Frasier was like, maybe it wasn't such a great idea for you to be on the show when you had so much going on with your business. You think? So moving on from there. Clint believed that she was on the show just to promote her business. A lot of people have been saying that. People in my comments have been saying that she's just on the show to promote her business. But they never even said the name of the business or where it was located or anything. Maybe she was. I have no idea. Clint is now dating someone that he's been seeing for several months. Thank God. And it's not the chick that said that, redheads look like siblings, that's why she doesn't date one. It's not her. And there was no mention of McKinley. I guess they're going to save that for later. That's why they didn't talk about McKinley. Then from there we move on to Nicole and Chris. They're still together. They're still happy. They're still extremely boring. I was on TikTok during their segment, so I've got nothing to add. Anyways, other than that, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe to my channel, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.